We have some massive updates, big stories, big speculation, and latest news surrounding top targets to discuss this morning, my friends. It's set to be a massive summer window, so make sure you guys are locked in on BlueLionsTV this summer. But before I continue on, very quickly, if you still have not bought the new 25-26 home kit, first of all, what are you waiting for? And second of all, by now, you should know that if you want to buy this, use one of my affiliate links below in the description or on the card above. And don't forget to use Nini10 at checkout to get 10% off your final order. Now for the first story, let's discuss long forgotten top goalkeeper talent in Mike Penders. Now we're learning from Belgian reports that Penders is set to join our squad in this summer's Club World Cup, which is going to be a great experience for this kid. So I'm excited to see what he learns, and even if he gets some opportunities to play, but I'll be very surprised by that. The reality is, once the Club World Cup is over, what does the future hold for Penders? We've learned that PSV see Penders as the perfect replacement to Walter Benitez. That could be an interesting move going to the Eredivisie and playing for, a really good club like PSV. Strasbourg are also expressing a desire to take him on loan to possibly replace Joao Pedro. But Mike Penders himself prefers to remain at Genk for good reason. They do have European football coming up soon, and he only just broke into that first team pretty late into the new season. So I think in terms of how he feels comfortable getting more consistent game time and minutes, I think he needs a full season now in Belgium. And if you're asking me, once he completes another full season in Belgium, we must follow that Thibaut Courtois model that we did all those years back, where Courtois was on loan for 3 seasons. That made him ready. That made him world class. That made him ready to become the number one over Petr. And if we really have this strong belief in his potential and his ability, I think once he completes another full season again, and then goes to a top European division for the next 2 years, he will come back ready to challenge for the first team spot. I potentially have that, because by the time he's like 20, 21 years old, he could have over 100 career appearances already, and this is what is needed in your formative years. So let's watch out for Mike Penders. We have some big stories to discuss today, but before I discuss all the striker update news, which you can't afford to miss out on, let's continue with this Enzo Fernandez rumors, speculation, soft reports. I feel like I have to discuss this here. I have to talk about this story because there is definitely smoke here. Now, in terms of the smoke, we don't know if it's a forest fire. We don't know if it's someone losing their mind from the piff they're smoking. We'll find out though. But it's not something to dismiss just because it doesn't make us feel good. So let's continue to discuss some of the reports coming out from Spain, because naturally they'll be a bit different in Spain compared to what we read in the UK. But I do think that we can kind of blend the two together to try and understand the full scope and picture of everything going down. Now, as we know, Madrid are doing a madness for Xabi Alonso. Trent signed, Howson set to come through, Carreras coming through from Benfica. What they now need is a world-class playmaker, ideally a midfielder. But the 2 Galacticos they are looking at, because they want Galacticos, is Florian Wirtz, which would be a very tough one to get through. But the other main one is Enzo Fernandez. Enzo Fernandez is actually a player that Madrids have been especially fond of for a long time, in particular with his exploits for Argentina in the World Cup, where he was sensational and he played beyond his years at the time. Now, there was no money to secure him. One of the reasons why we decided to get him off the market ASAP was to beat out the rest of the competition for his services, and we paid big boy money to sign him in January, and that worked in our favor. Now, going back to the reports now, of course, no formal contact has happened between the club and Real Madrid yet. At the moment, it's just soft conversations with the entourage of Enzo Fernandez. Now, yesterday, I thought that it was very premature to say that a verbal agreement had been made. I think that's nonsense. Maybe Enzo has expressed maybe an opening, or maybe liking the idea of the move, but I don't see Enzo forcing anything. He can't force anything. He's got many years to his name right now, and the club aren't in any position to feel any pressure to release him at all if they don't want to. So the ball will be in Real Madrid's court. They will have to pay us something significantly higher than the money we originally invested to sign Enzo to begin with, to even get us to think and hold discussions over a type of move like this. So let's see how this goes on. In the meantime, AS in Spain report that Enzo is attracted by the situation. Enzo's team are now holding talks with Chelsea Football Club to try and let's understand, okay, what is really going on with Real Madrid? Is there something strong here? Is there something tangible? How do you feel about Enzo? Would you want to keep him? Would he be open to a sale? What's going on right now? I mean, it's normal to have these types of conversations when Madrids are lurking, because this is what they do. They're top lurkers in the market. They lurk about and they eventually snag the guys that they want. So we can't just be dismissing this too easily or too prematurely, my friends. But as I keep saying, money will talk here. And money will talk for Madrid because they need a significant sell to even have a chance to maybe strike a deal for Enzo or another Galactico to help their playmaking plans in midfield for next season. Now, does that mean that it's a guarantee that it would be Rodrigo coming our way, Enzo going the other way? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because regardless, Rodrigo is going. He is going to be sacrificed so they can receive that money to reinvest back in their team. And you have to see it like this. If we did want Rodrigo, I wanted to make efforts for him, we wouldn't have to move Enzo Fernandez in the direction of Madrid to have a chance to get Rodrigo. It just doesn't work like that. I mean, sorry about the ridiculously loud play noise in the background. That's the annoying thing about the area I live in. But as I'm saying to you guys, we wouldn't be forced in any situation where we would have to push Enzo to Madrid to boost our chances for Rodrigo. We could just do that separately and to still snag him without even caring about Real Madrid's. Because we have to see it like this, man. Enzo has not only become a key player under Maresca, 7 goals, 13 assists. He's become one of the pillars in the dressing room. He's become one of the leaders, one of the players that other players look up to. You can't just get rid of a guy like this that easily before you have a chance of securing Champions League football, because when we originally bought him, our plan was to have one of the next great midfield players of his generation staying at this club for the foreseeable future, because our plan, hopefully if we can master the Premier League at some point, is to be the best club in the world. That's why we're doing everything that we're doing right now. So it's going to be really interesting to see what develops here. But I do think that once the season ends, we're going to learn a lot more. The future of Rodrigo will be key because they must probably sell him first before they have any hopes or chances of being able to sign a big boy Galactico. But as I've kind of alluded to, my own personal opinions and hunches, I know what these Latin guys are like. I know what the pool of Real Madrid's saying. I've read too that Enzo, a lot of time in his free time, him and his family are going to Madrid a lot of times. And you're thinking he's got a young family. Maybe if they're living in Madrid, Spanish-speaking country, that might be better for them and his life in general. These are things that we can't ignore because we don't like the feeling of it. Irrespective of those potential facts, if the money isn't there, we're in no position to do business. And I think this summer, all of us are going to really understand the power behind these long-term contracts that we've dished out. Too often it's been a negative, but actually, when you look back on things, there's many more positives that come from giving long-term contracts compared to any negatives you get from them. So that is the latest on Enzo at this moment in time. And my friends, it's time to break down everything we are learning about strikers this summer. Now, I'm going to give you guys some backscope right now, but I don't know. It feels like, as always in these last few windows, it comes down to this. Maresca and Joe Shields want player X. The data team are pushing player Y, and the directors are going for player Z. This summer, we must get the striker right. It'll be hard because there's so many good options available in the market right now. You don't tend to get this abundance of player, especially like the young forward who isn't on his peak contract, but is maybe 1 to 3 years away from reaching his peak. There's so many of this particular profile in the market that, if you make the wrong decision, it could really hurt us in the future is how I see things. So Now that you've understood that, let's break down all the reports. And we start with Fabrice Hawkins, the French journalist, as he reveals that links around Hugo Ekitike are growing stronger and stronger. I'll tell you guys this. I know that his agent was in London, I think in April. And it's normal that his agent will be holding discussions with many clubs. The main clubs in this country looking at Hugo, us, Arsenal, and Liverpool. Now, as we know, Hawkins has reconfirmed the fact that Frankfurt won between 80 to 100 million euros for his sale. One of the main reasons behind why is that PSG engineered a 20% selling clause when they sold him to Frankfurt. So he is a high target. And I know that he's probably, I'd argue, top 3. From what I've been hearing, I tell you guys this, from what I've been hearing, he seems to be a top 3 striker target at this moment in time. So let's watch this space. I think Hugo Ekitike, I like those unique forwards, I've always loved forwards. I've been enamored by forwards who can create things by themselves, who can kind of dribble like wingers, It just adds like another level of quality to your attack and to your team. And I think maybe the best example we've seen of this in the Prem recently has been Alexander Isak. Having a striker of that profile who possesses that ability, but most importantly, has the shooting variety, the shooting technique, is that match winner. That's what elevates you and really puts you on. So let's watch the space, because I would not be opposed to making a move for this type of guy, yeah? But to move on, let's discuss the other targets. We move on to Liam Delap. And, as I've been hearing, and I'm sure as you guys have been learning in reports too, it does seem like maybe United and Newcastle might be ahead of us at this point in time, especially Newcastle have been really pushing to sign him. They feel confident that they're securing Champions League football. And of course, Delap likes the way that they play, and it suits his style as well too, with Champions League being offered on a plate. So that's one to watch out for. United, of course, lost the Europa League. That doesn't necessarily mean that any move for Delap is now over, because they're still going to be about. And of course, he liked the fact that he gets to remain in Manchester, so he could be part of a rebuild at Man United. Let's watch out for that. But from what I've been hearing, it does seem like maybe Delap isn't on the high priority list for the club outside of Enzo Madrid and Joe Shields. So make of that what you will. If the key guys want him as their number one, but the other people at the club aren't seeing him as that guy, it does kind of reiterate the point I'm making of, I want there to be a bit of a focus now this summer, because this will be key in determining how far we can push on now. We have to start getting there soon, boys. We can't be wasting time anymore. So the club have been making new efforts with Delap based on the insistence of Maresca. But I'd still be surprised if Delap was signed. I think if we miss out on CL football and don't get the result against Forest, expect to see our interest in Delap boost up sky high in tenfolds. But if we get CL, expect to see the interest in Delap significantly dim. So watch out for that. Another interesting player that has emerged now has been Joao Pedro. Now, if you guys know me, I'm a massive fan of this guy. I'm seeing a lot of people underrating him. I'm not really understanding why. Maybe because I've seen a lot of him play. But this guy's ability to link the midfield and attack, versatility across many positions, the pens he wins, match-winning moments. He can score with his heads. I think this guy will be one of the top forwards in the Premier League in the not-too-distant future. And it does seem like after recent controversies emerged yesterday, where he had an altercation with Paul Van Hecker, it does seem like Brighton would be now open to selling Joao Pedro. They're looking to sign a 17-year-old from the Greek league for around £30 million, which is absolutely insane. They've already signed the other Greek forward we looked at from, I forgot his name top of my head, but from the German club Union Berlin. They do have alternatives in place. And it does seem like if offers of 70 million come their way, they'll be open to selling Joao Pedro. Now, we have held discussions over potential prices, but we're more comfortable offering 50 mil and possibly offering a player back on loan or as exchange in the deal. So let's watch out for that. But regardless, man, so many great players, great strikers about. It really comes down to who exactly we focus on, because that will be key in determining our success now. So let us know in the comments right now, what striker Do you want to see us sign in the summer window? My friends, I'm probably going to wrap things up right now. There are some more stories I was going to discuss, but it will be a video over 20 minutes I've now seen. So I will release another video later today. Stay tuned for that, my guys. And of course, lots of love to everyone that's followed me on TikTok, watching the YouTube shorts. A lot of big things planned this summer, and I hope you guys are going to stay locked in with me on Blue Lions TV for what's going to be a really, really exciting summer period. So I'll catch you guys all soon. Love. Cool.